Communication for various purposes. Introduction. Function refers to the particular purpose for which something exists or becomes useful, or how a person is fitted to meet his own or somebody else's needs and desires. Whenever we communicate, we always have a definite purpose, which is usually intentional, perspective, or recognition, and functional, or designate to achieve something positive. In some instances, however, our good intention also create unintentional, dysfunctional result to avoid having this unintended negative effect. We need to use clear, correct language and be sensitive to cultural differences. Simple said that whenever we communicate, we have a definite purpose, such as to inform, persuade, or to argument. Learning outcomes. First, convey ideas through oral, audiovisual, and or web-based presentations for different target audience in local and global settings using appropriate registers. Second, create clear, coherent, and effective materials. Third, present ideas persuasively using appropriate language, register, tone, facial expressions, and gestures. Fourth, adapt awareness of audience and context and presenting ideas. The communication is designed to serve three basic functions. First, informative. The main purpose of informative or expository communication or writing is to simply convey information factually. Its goal is to input new learning, enhance prior knowledge, confirm a concept, alleviate comprehension of an idea, or explain a process or procedure. The main purpose of informative communication is to give a factual information where they get in a trusted source. It gives new learning or new techniques to their audience. Tips in doing an informative presentation. First, stick to the facts. Second, avoid repetition. Third, make it clear. Stick to the facts. You have to properly document your claims based on the various sources that you have used. You have to search and look for supporting primary and secondary source. Avoid repetition. Avoid repetition of facts present no listener reader would like to hear, read, and same information. Make it clear. You have to follow the basic paragraph pattern. Introduce your subject. Develop it through your example. Give details that will lead the reader to your relevant conclusion. Informative communication involves giving than asking. As an informative communicator, you want your receiver to pay attention, listen, and understand, but not to change their behavior. By sharing information, ignorance is reduced or better yet eliminated. The informative value of a message is measured by how and relevant the information is or the kind of understanding it provides to receiver. In informative communication, you need your audience to listen for you to do. You need to research our information where can attract their attention and not too long and have a word that they cannot understand. In simple means is simple and shorter but have the proper information. Nature of informative communication. First, objects may include anything that is visible, tangible, and stable in form. They may be non-living or living things such as places, structures, animals, even people. Processes may comprise systematic series of actions that leads to be a specific results or product. Event can be anything that happens or is regarded as happening. Concepts may consist of beliefs, theories, ideas, and principles more abstract than objects.
processes, or events.
Object, something that visible and exists. Process, the procedures. Event, a situation. Concepts, the theme of the event.
Formal situation requiring informative communication. First, the public lecture. Second, the status report. Third, the briefing. Fourth, the fireside chats. Fifth, the chalk talk. Informative communication comes from three deep impulses. First, we seek to expand our awareness of the world around us. Second, we seek to become more competent. Third, we have an abiding curiosity about how things work and how they are made. Persuasive communication is an art of gaining fair and favorable consideration for our point of view. First, it provides a choice among options. Second, advocates something through a speaker. Third, uses supporting material to justify advice. Fourth, turns the audience into agents of change as for strong audience commitment. Pushing across an idea and convincing people or readers to support the idea you want to convey. This kind of discourse requires you to be mindful of your choice of words. You should be strong enough to convince people but soft enough to be relatable requires you to develop your reasoning skills.
You need to persuade them to believe you or support on what are you saying. You need to choose your word carefully to proper execute your plan. You need to be good in convincing but relatable too. You need to practice your reasoning if you are using this kind of communication.
Examples: TV commercial, periodical, advertisement, billboard, selling, an accountant trying to convince management to adopt a different procedure for reporting expenditure. Tips: be objective but subjective. Make sure that your subjective point is coming across, but you always have to make sure that what you want to convey is backed up by objective claims from sources. Use your brain, not your heart. Writing with pure emotions will make your presentation too subjective, and the readers may think that you, as a speaker, writer, have your own prejudices. Cite, always cite and annulate your sources. Always give credits where credits is due. Create an emotional connection between you and your listeners. Speak with conviction, provide a choice of alternation solution, tell them what others are doing, tell them a story or argumentative communication relies heavily on sound, proof and reasoning according to Aristotle. Logos, ethos, and pathos are the three primary forms of proof.
It is heavily relies on reasoning. The three primary form of proof are ethos, which means appeal on ethics, pathos, appeal on emotion, and logos, appeal on logic.
Argumentative tries to make listeners, readers believe that your idea is better based on the various reasons that you have at hand. It is logical and reason why to demonstrate one's point of view, beliefs, conclusion, or position. Examples: debate, meeting the advance. Tips: it is a one-way debate. You have to make sure that your claim is bulletproof. Whatever counterclaim you assume that can be made should be addressed to your work. Make the reader to action. Your work should answer these following questions. What now if I convince the reader with my assertion? Will there be a chance in mind? Would it make the reader let go of previous ideas? End with a punch, using conclusion to point out the importance or necessary of your claim will change the mind of your audience to support you. Assertion.
Public speaking. It means the public speaking is a form of sharing information or influencing them to a large audience. Read speech. Most most speech corpora contain read speech, either for practical reasons because eliciting non-read speech is more difficult, or simplified because the intended application or investigation require read speech. Read speech can be recorded by using a called prompt sheet or being displayed on a graphical output device. Memorize speech. It is an act of memorizing the information in a speech and presenting it without using notes. Impromptu speech. Impromptu speaking is a speech that person delivers without predetermination or preparation. Extemporaneous speech is a speech delivery style, speaking style in a term that identify a specific forensic computation. Volume. It is the loudness and the softness of voice. It is perceived loudness of the speaker. Loudness is what the audience actually perceives, and it correlates that physical strength, amplitude. When the speaker naturally without any amplification, you need to keep in mind these times to be covered by your voice and adjust sound reduction accordingly. Pitch, the relative highness or lowness of a tune as perceived by the ear, which depends on the number of vibrations per second produced by the vocal cords. Rate, it is how fast you talk in words per minute, and is an important component of innovative presentation. It is called speed, pace, tempo, and rhythm. Pauses. A pause may refer to a rest, hesitation, or a temporary stop. Vocal variety is a way to communicate by changing the sounds of your voice using different speeds and tones while speaking. Pronunciation. Pronunciation is defined as how you say a word. An example of pronunciation is difference in how many people say the word tomato. The way in which the word is language are made to sound when speaking. His Italian pronunciation is terrible. Articulation is how clearly the speaker pronounces words. When a speaker uses improper diction, the hearer cannot make out the words spoken and often requests a repeat of what's said. Movement. It supports your message for some speakers. Moving in the space they are speaking in can feel intimidating. However, having someone movement in your speech can provide variety for the audience and keep their attention. Movement should always be purposeful and to be helped and engage the audience, not to take away from the speech. Gestures. The movement draws attention to what you're saying and draws attention to important parts of your speech. Hand gestures often help to emphasize certain point of speech and strengthen the speaker message as well. Eye contact is a speaker's ability to have visual contact with everyone in the audience. Your audience should feel that you're speaking to them, not simply uttering main and supporting points. 6 ways to turn nervous from a negative to a positive force. Acquire speaking experience. Prepare, prepare, prepare. Thinking positively. Use the power of visualization. Know that nervous is not visible. Do not expect perfection. Pieces of advice. Be at your best physically and mentally. As you are waiting to speak, quietly tighten and relax your muscles and squeeze your hand together and then release them. Take a couple of slow, deep breaths before you start to speak. Work especially hard on your introduction. Once you get it, you will be sailing smoothly up the rest of the way. Concentrate on communication of your audience rather than on worrying about your stage fright.